This video is sponsored by PotownStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live, and you can of course get everything on the website for 5% off using the coupon code ZapdosTCG. This video is also sponsored by CARDMARKET.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can do it as well. And you can use the referral name ZapdosTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by PLAYMAT.com. This is a platform where you're able to, of course, create your own custom playmat. They have, of course, capabilities to ship worldwide, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. So definitely check it out. Last but not least is Dragon Shield, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. You can of course there's links down below for US and European people, and you can of course get your best quality sleeves available, as well as deck boxes and binders. Thanks so much for sticking around with the commercials. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you do, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and let's get this video going. Sup YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. Today we're going to be checking out the results of the Gdansk Regionals as well as Brisbane Regionals. So we're going to be having a lot of data to, of course, think about the upcoming regionals. Stuttgart is actually in about 10 days time, so it's going to be very crazy to see how the meta will develop after this. This is Paradox Rift. This format has been incredibly nice because there's a lot of new archetypes like Anti-Iron Valiant coming out of the woodworks, Roaring Moon, not performing all that well, but still being a threat in the game, and then of course the Iron Hands being included in a lot of decks out there. So the Gdansk Regionals, as you can see here, these were the meta percentage for the day one. So as we will see, a lot of decks will not convert that well, and there's a good reason for that, because a lot of people actually were attacking the Iron Hands this time around, and a lot of decks did not like that whatsoever. First of all, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You're gonna get daily Pokemon TCG content over here that you don't want to be missing out on. These are going to be competitive videos that are going to help you become better at the game. With that being said, Miraidon was the most popular deck during day one, and I even saw a person actually hitting 6 Miraidons during the day one course, so that's actually insane. For me, I actually was playing Roaring Moon during the Gdansk Regionals, and I actually scored 30 championship points, so I'm actually glad with that, considering which deck I played. So with that being said, Miraidon being the most popular deck, probably with a lot of Iron Hands being in there. Some of them were like the 14 energy build, others were the even extreme versions with 18 energy builds, which actually were able to get a turn 1 Iron Hands going second, and that actually scared away Gardevoir. Gardevoir actually 12% battle share, Charizard 11, Mew VMAX. Of course, we were in Europe, so Mew VMAX was everywhere, as it always is. Then there's Chien-Pao 9%, and then Lost Tina was 8%. So if we take a look at the day 2 meta share, we do see that Gardevoir completely flopped and dropped out of the radar here, so not even being on the charts itself. Mew VMAX had an insane conversion rate. Not a lot of people were playing the Drapion, not a lot of people were playing Spiritomb, so Mew VMAX had free game and just could go wild on the strategy. A lot of decks were the fusion build, but also some DTE builds were around here and there. Miraidon, even though it was like a high percent meta share, it actually didn't drop that much. A lot of decks actually converted into that day 2, and Miraidon was a strong pick for the weekend, as well as Charizard EX. Decks that actually flopped off completely was Gardevoir EX and Chien-Pao, even though there might be some of them in top 8 here and there. If we take a look at conversion-wise, Gardevoir and Chien-Pao actually didn't perform all that well. There is, of course, Snorlax Stall now popping up in the chart for good reason. Not a lot of people were playing the tech cards like Minior or the Professor Turo to make sure you have at least an answer against Snorlax Block, and actually the deck was disrespected altogether. If we take a look at that top 8 and how it went down, Snorlax actually was able to high roll on a lot of Charizards, which actually don't have a single answer. And then Roaring Moon actually creeped onto the pie chart. I actually were playing Roaring Moon, but I was 1 win away from day 2. Actually was 5-2-2 was my score, and the winning in, I actually tied the winning in, unfortunately, even though I should have won that game. If I maybe just played 10 seconds faster, I would have gotten there. But yeah, sometimes it is what it is. With that being said, let's take a look at the deck that won the Gdansk Regionals. We do see here this is the top 8. We already played around with the first place winning list on the channel, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. So it was Lukas Mazurkiewicz from Poland actually taking it down with the Snorlax Block. We're gonna be taking a look at that 60 here. The thing that immediately caught my eye is actually that this list is not playing any cross switchers, which in the past, like Snorlax Block was actually playing like 4 cross switchers in here for some additional gust. Instead, they actually had to go for some additional cards like Spiritomb for the Mew V Max matchup, Crabominable for the mirror match and to proactively mill a little bit faster. That's also included in here. And then a couple of Iono. I think Iono is actually not too bad here because sometimes your early game is actually pretty bad. And the only thing you want actually is getting into the game, find the Nuzball, maybe VIP pass. The best thing you want to do with this deck is go second and find VIP pass through the means of Arven and get your Snorlax established, as well as a Rotom to then draw a card. So a very nasty archetype if you don't have any switch outs, because Counter Catcher is gonna trap Pokemon, support Pokemon like Manaphy, Lumineon V, Greninja, Radiant Greninja that is, as well as Jirachi, Mew from Celebrations. There's a lot of bench sitters that are just support Pokemon that could easily get trapped by this archetype. I wonder how going forward if people will attack against it. Then there's Aaron Kingma from the Netherlands playing Zard. Is it going to be the Arven Zard? Yes, Arven Zard here with 2 copies of the Lost City. Also packing the Jirachi here, and the Jirachi does help out against any Lost box that wants to Sable Sprinkle in the mid to late game. There's a Manaphy protecting your board as well from Snipes from Radiant Greninja. And a lot of people opted to go for the Pidgey with Call for Family now because you now have Jirachi to protect yourself from Sprinkles, which is nice. There's a split line between the Charmanders. The Charmander with the Heat Tackle can sometimes come in clutch, slapping 30 damage. With Defiance Band can sometimes get a miraculous KO on Pokemon you wouldn't expect. There is of course 2 vacuums in here and 2 stadiums, so you can bump the path to the peak. So also lots of gust. On top of Bulbasaur's, they even added up a Counter Catcher in here, which is also searchable with Arven, so that does make sense. And Radiant Charizard, a very solid attacker. Your 4 Sealstone targets, there's 2 of 4 Sealstone in here, is Pidgeot V, which can loop itself back in the deck, which also in turn pretty interesting up against Snorlax Block, I would say. So I don't know how this matchup went, but if you have the Pidgeot V, you can infinitely loop and maybe time stall. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, to be honest, because Snorlax Block is not playing Path to the Peak, and you have the Pidgeot V, which can infinitely loop, and at one point, yeah, you are just gonna loop, and they're gonna loop, and they have Silene and all that stuff. Who knows? We'll never figure out how this works, but yeah, there's also Lumineon with the 4 Sealstone capabilities. And Lumineon also gets the Arven, by the way. Luke Kirkham also being able to yeah, get into that top 4, actually 3rd place with a Palkia list. It's been a while since we've seen a pure Palkia list. This is Origin Form Palkia V-Star. We did see it a lot at the World Championships over in London. Then I fell off a little bit with some power creep here and there, but this is a build, of course, with 4 Melanie once again. The Palkia is a very easy to set up attacker and also can power up your other water type Pokemon. Think about the Ice Rider. We haven't seen Ice Rider all that much in this format, but the max lance attack of the Ice Rider can actually come in clutch in the 2-2-2 prize race, definitely against stuff like Miraidon. And I did know that Luke actually faced off against like 5 Miraidons or something, so Ice Rider definitely can take 4 prize cards in that matchup. There's also the early lead with the Suicune and the Blizzard Rondo, so very funky to see that both, actually all of them, Entei, Suicune and Raikou all saw competitive play at this point, so very balanced cards, and I love to see that in the competitive scene. What else do we see is that, of course, Irida can get your setup going. This is a little bit similar to the builds from London 2022. At that World Championships, there was also like a Turbo Palkia version with some Melanies and trekking shoes and all that. No B-Barrel in here whatsoever, but the Earthen Vessel can, of course, fetch the energies once again. So for people that were missing out on Palkia and missing Capacious Bucket, you now have Earthen Vessel to go along with it. There's only one stadium in here. It's the Galap Stadium, but there's 2 vacuums, so of course, regain access to your abilities. And with a lot of switch outs and like Shivery Chill and Melanie, you can even like maybe get a crazy attack off with the Hail Blade to one-shot a VMAX at one point. It could definitely happen. So solid deck, and we definitely need to check that out on the channel. Then Robin Schultz, yeah, was already able to win a World Championship during his lifespan, but now coming clutch here, top 4 with a Charizard, also going to be the Arven Zard. So I think most of these decks, this deck is actually pretty nice because if you go first, you can get that Rotom established and draw some cards with the Insta Charts. That's actually another 4 Sealstone target into that Arven Zard, and you're going to be able to, of course, draw cards. The cool thing with this list is I found there's 3 copies of Lost City, so that's an additional one to the one we saw that got 2nd place. So against Gardevoir, they got bullied out of the format like Avery and Lost City. That's a lot to handle. Even if they Mirage type, you can Avery Lost City and they're going to be crumbling. Charizard also has that type advantage of being Darkness, and Darkness types is very great if you're up against Guardies, and Mew VMAX is over in Europe. So a very solid list, and again, we do see the Call for Family Pidgey. So also another Charmander in here, Charmander that's able to snap 40 damage. I don't know if it's gonna be that useful, but they have a little bit of a split line between all these Charmanders, which can definitely help for some variety. And the Pidgeot EX, very good with quick search. You're gonna search out your deck for any card, and it's gonna be so strong against a lot of decks. And this deck is actually playing again 3 Boss Zords and that Counter Catcher. Then Tord Radcliffe, the best known recent player in the modern era, came with a very fantastic Lost Box deck. I call it Lost Box Counter Box. It is playing all the best attackers in the game. Iron Hands taking additional prize cards, Roaring Moon snapping people out of existence, and the Aqua Storm to take additional prize cards with that Kyogre. And we do see that it's going to be just Colress as a supporter, no Clara, no anything, no Roxanne. It's just going to be focusing on using Colress's Experiment with 3 Pokegear in there as well. And then it's just getting yourself into the game, spit innocently with Cramorant. You can even use the Palkia V-Star in here to power up Greninja or your Kyogre in the mid to late game, and then you can snipe around, which is crazy. Also, a turn 2 Iron Hands is definitely possible if you set up some flower selectings and then go into a colors experiment and some colors flower selectings afterwards. That could be great. I think I would actually include in here is something like a Lost Vacuum to go even a little bit more turbo, because even though there's Pokestop in here, there's no vacuums in here. So I would say like Judge Path can really cripple a deck like this. But very strong, nevertheless. You have all the options in the world, and it actually was very strong. Then another Zard. So you could say, with Thomas Jones here, that Zard was the deck that performed the best out of all of them. This is an Evo Zard, so TM Evolution. The TM Evolution will definitely help out this Charizard build. You're going to be able to, of course, if you go second, instantly evolve your Charmanders into Charmeleons, which is actually pretty interesting. There's 2 TM Evolutions in here, but there's only 2 Charmeleon. But most of the time, you, of course, rely to evolve a Bidoof into a B-Barrel on top of that. There's a very spicy Delphox V in here, which can actually take 2 prize cards when the opponent least expects it and is not slapping down Manaphy. So I think the opponent probably will definitely feel that if they weren't respecting the Delphox coming into play. There's Vitality Band, Defiance Band, which we come to know with Charizard, and of course there's still Turo in here, but no Palpad. So even though you have Turo could also help to, of course, get Luminium back into your hand, or like your Delphox if you happen to start with it. I guess that's true. You also have Collapse Stadium to work out to do that for you, and again Jirachi finding its place in to the Charizard build. So all of the Zards have the Jirachi. I think Lost Box is going to have a very rough time moving forward, because all these lists are playing Jirachi, which is actually very funky. Then, of course, Europe wouldn't be Europe without some Mew VMAXs. Jamie Hindley with the Mew VMAX is going to be the DTE build. Judge Path and Pray, that's the part of the game here. You have a very consistent build with 3-4 Sealstone. You even have Avery to help out with some disruption. So 3 copies of Judge, and then of course the Path. So no Roxanne's in here, so they opted to go for 3 Judge, 1 Iono. You do have the Palpad to regain those supporters if need be. Same goes for Turo's Scenario as well as Avery, and the Box of Disaster really helpful against Gardevoir. That matchup otherwise is actually pretty hard. So yeah, Judge Path, that's the part of the game. So no Luxray V in that build. And then A1 West, also from the UK. So look at that, UK, 4 of them in the top 8, did really well over in Gdansk. So let's see here what this build was. Another DTE build, but this time they do come clutch with the Grabbers. I think the other list was not playing the Grabbers, but yeah, this is Grabber DTE Mew. So Judge, Path, Grabber, and then the opponent will cripple. That's pretty much what Mew VMAX does, and it actually did really well in, of course, Europe. Then we head over to the upside down here to Brisbane. Their largest regionals ever to this date is 388 players in the Brisbane Regionals. So yeah, Gardevoir did really well over there. So 3 of them into top 8. And we do see 2 Snorlax Stall and their Fusion Mew and 2 Charizard. So Charizard was the big winner over at the weekend in both sides of the world, as we all saw. So let's take a look at Harry Shellcross list from Brisbane Regionals. First place winner list, we do see is going to be a VIP pass Gardevoir, which I personally still think is the preferred way to be playing Gardevoir, because playing without VIP pass sometimes feels a little bit clutch, a little bit too reliant on that Mirage tap. We do see Jirachi also coming clutch in here, so Lost Box was bullied out of the format here over at the other side of the world with Jirachi in the Gardevoir list. Screamtail very strong, definitely in combination with Iono, so I love that. Iono counter catcher Screamtail, a solid winning condition, and the only other thing I see here, no Zacian V, just a Luxurious Escape and 3 copies of Reversal Energy, so really high on Reversal Energy to just go KO the big 2 prize basic Pokemon, it seems. Or going for the Zard as well, could happen as well. Haru Nishikawa from Japan made it all the way here with the Charizard build, and they were taking in the Minior. Hilarious. So that's also part of the reason why Snorlax did not win in Brisbane, because people were attacking. We did see that people were attacking in the Turo and all that stuff. Here we see Minior, the easiest deck in the world to win against Snorlax Block. So if you're playing Zard, you probably should include this, otherwise you will lose. And this list is also playing the Rotom V that Robin Shields also was fan of, with the Insta Charge to get yourself into the game, get yourself Candy, Pidgeot EX, and then you can get anything you want from the deck with that Quick Search ability. Then third place, Hayden Matthews from Australia, also playing Zard, but this time it's the TM Evolution. Nah, it's a little bit of everything, right? It's not Arven Zard, it's just Colress's Experiment, Charizard, B-Barrel. Okay, I have a lot of questions about this list. Okay, there's 4 rare candy, so it's pretty much, they left alone Pidgeot, they just added in B-Barrel and added in Colress over Arven. So this list probably has a little bit of a better time going first, I suppose, because you can just simply go VIP pass and then also use Mysterious Tail to find more VIP pass. You see how that goes. So yeah, a very unique build of Charizard, also playing Vengeful Punch. That definitely helps out against Chien-Pao and Miraidon for that 40 additional damage. You just have 180, get the Vengeful Punch. If they attack you, they are knocked out, basically. That's also pretty interesting. And also helps out against Gardevoir. So universal tool card that helps out against a lot of matchups. I'm a big fan of it. 3 vacuums and only 1 stadium. I definitely would add in a second copy of Artisan just to get into the game. I wonder why they opt to go for like 3 vacuums. I guess like there's one random Cramorant in here, but do you get that Cramorant off often enough? You do have Vengeful Punches, Artisan, vacuum targets. I don't know, but maybe there's a lot of like Pokestop in the format and they said like, yeah, sometimes I can get this Cramorant off for free when the opponent least expects it. Then there's Joshua Sparks with Fusion Mew. Fusion Mew with the Meloetta and the Ice Cube. We do see here Professor Turo scenario, Palpad. That's probably enough to win yourself the Snorlax matchup, as we saw. And then at top 8, they got slaughtered the Snorlax Block. So if you have the techs, you can definitely get away with dubs here. So yeah, you have of course Alessa Sparkle to power up your Meloetta or Ice Cube depending on the matchup. With the Lost City, I expect like an Ice Cube with Lost City to just evaporate something like a Gardevoir player, which is very cool. There's also the combination of course Grabber that's going to be leaving themselves wide empty. So there is of course a little bit of disruption in here. 1 Iono, 1 Judge, and 1 Path to the Peak as well. Combined with that Grabber can definitely be great. I haven't seen Grabber all that much in Fusion builds, but it worked out here. Calvin Connor and Gabriel Smart also made it all the way into the top 8 of the Brisbane Regionals, and we do see they're both going with the Guardi. So let's check out yeah, Calvin's list first. We do see they're respecting the Zacian V. I'm still a big fan of Zacian V personally because it's easy searchable with the Ultra Ball of Fog Crystal. So way more searchable than the Luxurious Escape. Screamtail also still in here. As mentioned, the Iono in combination with Counter Catcher and Screamtail is a busted combo. And this list is actually not playing any VIP passes. They're just high on the regular counts, doubling up on Avery as well. And they're heavily relying on the Mirage Tap, I would say, with like 4 Ultra Ball, actually 3 Ultra Ball, 4 Level Ball here. More basic Pokemon, it seems. So interesting. Also 2 Artisan. That helps out to get your setup going, I suppose. So cool. Also still rocking the Cresselia. I think Cresselia is very great in the mirror match, but also can help out against Lost Box. We do see Snorlax Stall here with Samantha Turner with Block Snorlax. Let's see what they're rocking with. Again, Crabominable V seems to be the talk of the town here. Second copy of Luxurious Escape in here. Again, no cross switchers in here, but they opted to go for the third boss's orders. And we also see that in this particular list is that they're also playing 1 Iono. In the past, like Snorlax Block decks actually were not playing Iono. Also, the second copy of Mimikyu. when Charizard is at an all-time high, Mimikyu is actually a very great Pokemon. Definitely with 2 copies of Luxurious Escape that can single-handedly win you matchups. That's very, very funky. And also with this list can Pennyloo, Misfortune's Sister to discard the switch out. So Snorlax Block. Check it in action. We did check it out before. James Williams, also Snorlax Block, is at the same 60. It is the same 60, so nothing more to say here. They play the same 60. Temple of Sin is still the preferred stadium in Snorlax Block. Then Gabriel Smart with Gardevoir, and also no VIP passes. They opt to go for the 4th Ultra Ball though, and they cut down on the Fog Crystal. Oof, I personally don't know if I would do that, but yeah, having an additional target to like get Pokemon out like Lumineon V or the Great Ninja Rating Range to get yourself into the game is fine, I suppose. But yeah, 2 reversals as come to known, and this is solid. Like most of these Guardians lists are also rocking the Stellar Veil Jirachi, so Lost Box wasn't able to pop up here into that top 8. So yeah, with that being said, these were the results we have. So these are all the top 8 lists from Gdansk Regionals and Brisbane Regionals. As we can see here, and the Australian Regionals, we do see Gardevoir converting really well, Snorlax Block not doing all that well. Although there were 2 spots in top 8, that is not bad whatsoever, but people in the top 8 were respecting it and had the answers for Snorlax Block. Over in Gdansk, people were not respecting the Snorlax Block, and actually was able to win it all. So all these lists, they didn't respect it whatsoever, and that's why they lost. And also Charizard converged really well. Let me know how you feel about these tournament results, and what you expect to become more popular or less popular going into the next couple of regionals. The Stuttgart Regionals is right around the corner, and I still haven't decided which deck I should play. So I'm very confused because this format is going all places. Also, Entei Iron Valiant didn't do all that well in both regionals, so let's see how the next couple of regionals will go. Go check out my sponsors. If you are looking for TCG live code cards, you can use the coupon code TCG over at PotownStore.com. There is Dragon Shield for your sleeves, binders, and deck boxes. Links down below so you can get 5% off. There is EuroPlaymat.com, so you can get 10% off when you click the link down below to create your own custom playmat. Definitely do so. It's very cool to create playmats for your team or just for yourself. It's awesome to see. There's CARDMARKET.com for European players, where you can buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. Use the referral name TCG to help support the channel. That's it for this video. Gdansk was a blast. Definitely check out the vlog that I created. You're definitely gonna have a blast seeing a little bit of the venue, seeing a little bit of the city itself. So yeah, and if you like what you see, subscribe for more content. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for brand new Pokemon TCG content. Peace.